Hello, I'm Sam from Cultaholic.com, and this is where I would usually say this is graded for NXT and 205 Live, where I take a look at each show segment by segment and award each little bit a grade from A plus to F, but today we're starting with a bit of an announcement. Now, for months you've all wanted us to grade NXT UK, but we just haven't had the available staff to do so. But recently, I don't know if you've seen, we've hired Tom Campbell full-time. So I'm happy to announce that between 205 Live and NXT, Mr. Campbell will be coming in to talk to you all about NXT UK. So without any further ado, I hope you're all very excited. Hit the intro. So 205 Live this week starts with a cold open, and it's Drew Gulak reaffirming his stance that Tony Nese was a false prophet. And he wants to know who's going to step up and challenge him next, only to get knocked down before he welcomes us to his 205 Live. And then we go straight to the ring for the first match of the night, which is Akira Tozawa with Brian Kendrick versus Samir Singh with his brother Sunil. Things go back and forth early in this one, with Tozawa gaining the upper hand, and when he knocks Samir to the outside and he tries to escape, he hits that beautiful, huge cannonball that he does off the apron, driving him into the crowd barrier. Tozawa then sets up for the senton for Sunil to try and interfere. Kendrick interjects, however, stopping him, and this causes a moment of confusion for Samir, allowing Tozawa to roll him up and pick up the win. Post-bell, the Singhs obviously aren't happy, and that aggressive side of them that we've been seeing a little bit more of recently comes out. They somewhat foolishly jump Tozawa, with Kendrick jumping in the ring to make the save, and then after the bell, they're sort of halfway up the ramp. Tozawa lifts up their Bollywood award, and yeah, nice match. I'm going to give this one a B-. It was a nice continuation of the little storyline the Singhs have going on, and I like the fact that we're almost definitely going to see this as a tag match. The Singhs showed us pretty much everything they could do versus a lucha style offense, so it's going to be nice to see them mix it up with a different style team. We then cut to part 2 of the 3-part Humberto Carrillo interview. Again, this was really well put together. Humberto in it tells us that he's dreamed of working for WWE from a very young age, and he aims to honor his family traditions with his in-ring style, and he wants to make them all proud by one day becoming Cruiserweight champion. We then go back to the ring for Mike Kanellis versus Jackson James, a local competitor. Now, after getting fined last week by Drake Maverick for jumping the barrier, Mike promised us absolute carnage this week. He makes quick, brutal work of his opponent, hitting the rolling cutter and picking up the 3, but it doesn't end there. He beats him down, he grabs a mic, and he demands that Drake Maverick come to the ring. When Drake comes out, Mike gets in his face, and he just sort of wants to know why he's not being utilized. When his contract ran out a couple of months ago, he could have gone anywhere in the world, but he chose to stay at WWE. Drake then tells him the reason he's so low down the card is his own behavior. He asks Mike about his Raw run and why it didn't last very long, and then Mike shoots back with a really funny jibe about Drake not lasting very long in bed with his wife. Mike then runs him down as GM and says that he's wasting too much time running after the 24/7 belt, and he's embarrassing the brand every single time he gets on TV in pursuit of it. It's quite clear that Mike is trying to goad Drake into hitting him. With Drake not biting, Mike has to resort to the big guns, and he says, and I quote, "Your wife is a filthy, disgusting," and then he gets cut off, and Maverick absolutely loses it. Maverick starts unloading on him big time, but Mike peels out of the ring, and he's halfway up the ramp just smiling because he knows he's got what he wanted. The general manager of 205 Live has laid hands on talent. Noam Dar has already been complaining about an unsafe work environment, and this is just more fuel to the fire. I'm going to give this segment an A. I hope it results in some sort of punishment for Drake, and hopefully maybe a match between both he and Kanellis. And then we go back to the ring for tonight's main event, which is Jack Gallagher versus Chad Gable. Two solid technical wrestlers here, with the match starting very firmly on the mat. Seamless wrestling here, just seamless. There's a Gable roll through on a Gallagher armbar into like a one-armed suplex. That was just beautiful. And then when things start to go up a gear, Gallagher drives Gable into the crowd barrier before hitting another dive to the outside. There was this really cool moment where Gable hits this sort of overhead rolling kick, and it knocks Gallagher into the ropes. He bounces back and connects with a headbutt. That was just great. There's an awesome near fall in the corner with Gable just getting his foot on the rope in time, and then things are brought to a close when Gallagher attempts a superplex. Gable manages to shift his weight in midair, hitting a crossbody, and then he hits his roll-through German suplex to pick up the win. Post-match, there's a handshake and a little bit of a stare down, teasing maybe another match. It was just really nice, and this one gets an A. And how could it not get an A? It's a brilliant display of technical wrestling, and the depth of 205 Live beyond it's just flips. Like, there's so much more to this division, and this was proof of that. Overall, 205 Live gets an A this week, week, momentum's really picked up, and from the top to the bottom, there's not really a lot that I would have changed on the show. I'm very excited to see where the Kanellis Maverick storyline's going now that Maverick has struck a member of his own roster, and of course that main event was just unbelievable. That was 205 Live. I'm going to hand you over to the very capable hands of Mr. Campbell for NXT UK as I go to the Teacher's Lounge and have a nice 5-minute break.
I keep telling my dry cleaner to stop putting tea bags in. Oh, hi! I'm Tom Campbell. I am your NXT UK teacher, and this is my classroom. I mean, it's a porter cabin near the toilets, and it smells a bit like chemicals. But it's mine, and that's all that matters. While Sam Driver is in the Teacher's Lounge doing what I presume to be a massive bag of drugs, I am here to talk to you about what went down on NXT UK. We are still at download at NXT UK. Like, those guys have been there for weeks. They must be thirsty and or desperate for a shower. So our opening match, it's Imperium lads Marcel, Barthel and Fabian Aichner taking on Saxon, Huxley and T-Bone. The whole story of this match is a showcase for Imperium, really. They just batter Saxon Huxley with some offense back and forth. Looks like at one point, Tyson T-Bone's going to get the hot tag and the crowd are cheering for it, and then suddenly he gets wiped out by Imperium and sent crashing into the steel steps, and shortly after that we see a lovely powerbomb uppercut combo from Imperium and they win the match. Gonna give this a C+. It wasn't a lot to it, but it showcased Imperium well, I suppose. We're backstage with Travis Banks, who's disappointed about not capturing the NXT UK Championship against Volta, and he's now hitting the reset button on his career in NXT UK. And I don't think that's a bad idea for Travis Banks. I love Travis Banks. His work at Progress and on the indie circuit has been amazing, but I don't really feel like he has been properly showcased here on Wednesday nights, and I'm hoping by hitting the reset button we get a bit more of that. Xia Brookside takes on Ginny next, and Ginny is accompanied by Jazzy Gabbert. Aha, as NXT names go, mwah, that's a beauty. Quite like the Ginny Jazzy combo. Jazzy obviously the muscle to Ginny's posh veneer, like that a lot. Ginny had little flashes of aggression in this match, some really heavy punches, a really nice surfboard stretch at one point. The finish comes pretty much out of nowhere, where Ginny sort of grazes the referee after being pushed by Xia, and the referee, presumably checking for a welt on his hand, is distracted enough for Jazzy Gabbert to grab Xia's leg. Xia gets schoolgirled up, 1, 2, 3, Ginny's done the job for the night. This is a C, not an abundance of energy I got from Ginny or Xia. It felt quite slow at points, this match. I like Ginny and Jazzy as a thing, I do. I like Xia Brookside as well. This felt a bit off. Imperium are backstage gloating about how brilliant they've been lately, how they've taken out 2/3 of British Strong Style. Next week, we're getting Volta taking on Trent Seven. I'm excited for that. They had that match at Progress a little while ago and it was really good. I want them to pull out that blinder again, please. That would be delicious. Selfie cam time with Kenny Williams. He's chatting up about his match next week with Noam Dar. He's actually outside the medical room. He said he was just popping in to check that they will be there next week when, quote Kenny Williams, I take the wing you so desperately want me to be under and I snap it. Nice line. Like your work, Kenny. And if you love Scottish people doing promos in medical facilities, this is the show for you, because we've got another one right now. Gallagher are backstage. This was filmed last week. This is the fallout of their 6-man tag against The Hunt and Dave Mastiff. And Joe Coffey makes the challenge to Dave Mastiff for a one-on-one match. Top Boy versus Top Boy. I'm going to make Dave Mastiff heel. I'm going to put a leash on him. Just checking my Fitbit, and I've not done my steps for the hour. It's also Tony time. Tony Storm, the NXT UK Women's Champion, is out, and she's talking up the match that is impending against Kaylee Ray for her title. She talks emotionally about how they used to be friends and how Kaylee Ray took her under her wing and how it's all gone a bit sour and how Kaylee Ray's playing mind games. Out comes Kaylee Ray to say, do you know what? I might have this match with you right now. Walks down the aisle, then goes, actually, no, I won't. We'll have this match at NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff. The night is set for those two. And Kaylee Ray says she's going to spend the next 6 weeks making Tony Storm's life hell. I'd love to give this more than a C+, but I can't, because as much as I love the whole idea of Kaylee Ray announcing this match weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks down the line, it felt quite scripted. It didn't feel very organic coming out of Kaylee Ray's mouth. And I know Kaylee Ray's a cracking promo. It just felt a bit stunted. I'm excited either way, regardless of the grading today. I'm excited for the next few weeks to see how they progress this. Main event o'clock, it's Kassius Ohno versus Mark Andrews. Kassius Ohno has been actually a really good call for NXT UK. He feels like more of a threat here than he did in the American NXT. And also, he feels like somebody that can elevate other people by association. Straight out of the blocks in this match, Mark Andrews does a dive through the ropes. Kassius Ohno catches him, takes off the bottom turnbuckle pad, and just throws him throat first into the exposed bottom turnbuckle. Really unique little spot, that. Kassius Ohno then spends the majority of this match working over the throat of Mark Andrews, which is it's a nice, unique idea, but we had two matches here. We had a fast-paced, offensive festival when Mark Andrews was competing, and then we kind of had this sort of slower, more methodical, at points grinding offense from Kassius Ohno. He felt like he was doing a bit of a World of Sport, old school thing. And I'm genuinely not being cruel because I love Kassius Ohno. When Mark Andrews was on offense, I was invested. When Kassius Ohno was on offense, I found myself looking at my phone. Got a bit boring, but the finish really picked it up for me. Mark Andrews went for a shooting star press. Kassius Ohno caught him, and it was great how he did it. Caught him by the throat as he landed and threw him into a cravat suplex. Beautiful little finish. Picked him up for a tombstone. Mark Andrews rolls through, gets the 3 count, big win over Kassius Ohno. And again, like I say, this is why Kassius Ohno's here, to come across as a threat and to elevate people by association. Andrews got elevated. I just think this match could have been a touch more exciting at points. Gonna give it a C-. I feel like I know what Kassius Ohno was trying to do. It just felt a bit plodding at points. Overall, NXT UK this week, I'm gonna give it a C. I like NXT UK, but we're now at the tail end of these tapings from Download Festival. This week, there are brand new NXT UK tapings in Plymouth. So I am excited to open a whole new pack of biscuits with you next week on Graded. Right, I think Sam Driver's done with that big bag of drugs he had. So I'm going to pass you back to him. We'll speak next week on NXT UK. I love you, bye.
Thanks for that, Mr. Campbell. Now we move on to NXT. We kick things off tonight with Matt Riddle versus Arturo Ruas. It's back and forth and both guys get some offense in, but it's a fairly quick affair. Things end fairly quickly after Riddle hits the final flash knee strike and starts ground and pounding Ruas. And Ruas fought well, but today was just Riddle's day. But then, as Matt Riddle celebrates in the middle of the ring, he's attacked from behind by a masked man. The mask comes off to reveal Killian Dain. Finally! Dain beats him down mercilessly, hitting a couple of sentons, destroying him on the outside, taking him up the ramp, and then hitting a senton on the stage that drives them through the floor. They go through the stage to the floor beneath. This one gets an A+. I don't think I've ever been so happy to see a big, hairy Northern Irish man. Dain's promos in the build-up to this have been phenomenal, and he's painted a target on the back of Matt Riddle. I can't wait to see where this one goes. We then go to a special edition of Street Talk, where Welcome to Street Talk by the Profits. They sort of run down the Undisputed Era. Dawkins delivers the "and that is undisputed" line, and the music cuts out at the right time. It was really funny. Yeah, it was alright. And then we cut to footage from last Saturday at an NXT live event, and it's Mia Yim beating up Marina Shafir in the car park outside. She's gunning for Shayna, and she's starting with her horsewomen. We then go to the final match in the first round of the NXT Breakout Tournament, and it's Dexter Lumis versus Bronson Reed. It looks like Lumis is still rocking the serial killer gimmick he's built from an undisclosed location. He's got creepy music, he's got those weird leather gloves as to not leave fingerprints, he's staring at the camera like he's a predator. It's really creepy. Even commentary are like, we were supposed to wear an interview with him, but like, no, it's just creepy. Things in this one start off strong. Lumis hits this huge dive to the outside, and when Reed moves away, he lands on his feet, he pushes himself up off his knees, and he fixes his leather gloves, sort of like a weird movie villain, and then he looks at him, and then just explodes, just unloading on him. He continues the creepy behavior back in the ring. At one point, he's working over Reed's neck, and he just leans down and just licks him right across the face, getting a taste for his prey. Oh, it was just off-putting. Reed then manages to hit him with a power slam, and finally Loomis seems to have a crack in his armor. He hit some innovative offense. There was this thing where like Loomis was leaning on the top rope, he bounced off the top rope while running, and it sort of knocked him back, and they collided in the middle of the ring. That was really, really nice. He avoids Loomis's senton bomb and then hits a massive splash to pick up the 3. So Bronson Reed advances to the second round of the breakout tournament. I'm going to give this one a B+. Reed looks like a beast. He's got that Vader, Bam Bam Bigelow style where he's a big guy that can move very quickly. Beth Phoenix even pointed that out on commentary. But Loomis, man, Loomis might just be my new favorite wrestler. The look, the way he handles himself, the way he moves, everything about him. You just couldn't take my eyes off him. There's like an aura around him. I want to see where they're going to go with him, and I hope they let him continue to be creepy. We then go backstage, and Tyler Breeze is being interviewed, and he gets interrupted by the Sons. So the Forgotten Sons tell him this isn't the old NXT, this is the new NXT. Real men wrestle here now. And then Tyler's like, I am a real man, I've got a beard. Tyler then says, you know what, I'm actually quite glad you're here. And he points at Jackson Riker, and he's like, hang on, didn't you used to be Buddy Murphy? And at that, I just lost it. I died at that point. It was brilliant. It was so well handled, with the Sun sort of like, see, this is why, like, you don't take things seriously. But he had won. He just destroyed them. It was absolutely brilliant. We then go back to the ring for Kushida versus Apollo Cruz. Cruz is the latest in a long line of wider competitors, according to Regal last week, and he gets a hero's welcome at Full Sail. It was really nice to see. Kushida is, of course, outmatched in both size and strength in this one, but that doesn't stop him one little bit. He manages to get Cruz on his back fairly quickly, but whenever Cruz can get to his feet, he brings the speed. But Kushida can play to speed as well as he can play to technical wrestling. It's what makes him such a good foe. There's a point where Cruz hits a delayed vertical suplex and the crowd really love it, and it puts him firmly in the driver's seat, and he starts sending Kushida from corner to corner. He even hits a standing shooting star press. That's how under control he's got Kushida. But then things go a bit mental. Cruz starts to climb the turnbuckles, Kushida cuts him off, gets pushed back, Kushida comes at him again, and then Kushida sort of hits that Spanish fly into an armbar thing, gets the Sakuraba lock in, and Cruz taps. Kushida wins. I'm going to give this one an A-. This was my favorite Kushida match in NXT so far. As I said, Cruz was the perfect match for him because he's got that technical ability and he's also got the speed, and Kushida is a good mixture of both of those things. And I do wonder who we're going to have Kushida up against next, as Regal seemed to indicate that the interest in wrestling him was company-wide. It wasn't just NXT. We then go to Keithley Backstage, who's sort of bemoaning the fact that he was promised opportunities when he came to NXT, but he's being overlooked for all of the new faces. He name drops Damien Priest and then says, you know what, maybe I should make my own opportunities instead of just sitting around and waiting for it to happen. So we've got that matchup next week, Keithley versus Damien Priest. Adam Cole's music then hits and down he comes to the ring. He tells us he's been on a title tour this past few weeks, but his boys have been taking care of business in NXT. He says he's going to put his title on the line tonight against this man, and he points at the screen. And just as it looks like he's about to invite Johnny down for a barn burner of a match, he invites Twan Tucker, one of the trainees, to the ring. Tucker comes out, Cole says, come on, get in the ring, I promise there'll be no interference from the era, it'll be one-on-one, nice and fair. And then Tucker's like, you might have come alone, but I certainly didn't. And then Johnny Gargano's music hits and everything goes mental. There's just a huge brawl between the two. They end up in the crowd, they end up by the stage, the referees get in and pull Johnny away, and then Johnny comes off the stage and hits a massive diving crossbody. It all goes back to the ring, he locks in the Gargano escape after hitting the big knee, he won't let go of it, referees are having to just drag Johnny out. It was, what a way to end this week's NXT. This one gets an A. Cole is getting so smug, and after his appearance at Johnny's family restaurant, it makes sense for him to come out and be so explosive with him. And the match that Regal has confirmed on social media, that's sort of like, I guess, a 3 stages of hell type thing, that's surely going to be just off the charts. Overall, NXT this week gets an A, and I just don't know how they keep managing to ramp that momentum higher and higher. Last week I thought it couldn't go any further. It just seemed to be the perfect melting pot, but this week it just come along and it just blew it out of the water. We had the return of Dain, we had a high impact match in the breakout tournament, we had a great Kushida match, and then the explosive finale between Cole and Gargano. We're sort of in the middle of an NXT renaissance. If it keeps going at this rate, people are going to be looking back years from now as like, just look look at it. Look at the level of the product on display. It's just that good in terms of story and in-ring work right now. But anyway, this has been graded for NXT, NXT UK, and 205 Live. What did you think of the shows? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments below. You can follow Cultaholic on Twitter @Cultaholic. You can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you like what we do here at Cultaholic, you can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/Cultaholic. And no matter what you do, don't ever forget to hit subscribe and join us.